What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel and check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to talk about a warning that LeBron James gave to young potential NBA basketball stars. Right now, when LeBron James first made this statement, a lot of people thought that LeBron James was just whining and crying about, what goes on in the NBA or how he's getting treated by the NBA and or the media, right? Well, when you think about it, in the past, anybody that played a professional sport and you ask them about, how much they love their sport, even if there was some bad parts about it or some parts that they didn't like it, most people would say, I'm living the dream, man. I'm lucky and I'm fortunate, right? But I think that LeBron James is in a situation where, he realized that he's in over his head. And so when LeBron James made this statement a while ago that it was weird energy, it was more than just somebody saying, well, there's some parts to this game that I don't like, but for the most part, it's worth it. You got to take the good with the bad. It wasn't that. It was like, um, why would somebody want to be the face of his league? And then he used the term, he said weird energy, right? And that's different because people would say, all right, there's some pros and some cons, some good and some bad.
Why do you want to be the face of a league when all the people? Why do you want to be the face of a league when all the people that that cover our game and talk about our game on a day-to-day basis shit on everybody? Have that responsibility. It's just weird. It's weird energy.
See, all right, so you
Why do
heard
you
what
want to be the face of a league? Why do you want to be the face of a league
you
when
heard what he
all
said right there, right? It's just weird energy, right? And that's in my opinion, that goes further than just saying, all right, there's some pros and there's some cons, right? And when you hear an athlete like Anthony Edwards, and Anthony Edwards said the same thing, right? He didn't want to, he didn't really care about or really want to be the face of the league. And I remember back in the day or a time like anybody would have rushed to been that the face of the league, but with so many people talking about the evil forces that are connected with professional sports, and you see some of the unfortunate tragedies that happen to athletes and or their family members and stuff connected to sports and entertainment. Players are getting wise, you know. And then think about this: players have they know more than what the average person knows. So who knows like what's being said behind closed doors to athletes, by people who are either connected to the industry or who've been in the industry and seen what goes on. So they are not, and they're not unaware of what's going on. So I think they just want to be able to play the sport that they love, that they train for all their lives, and just stay away from certain forces, right? And I do think that evil forces are aware of this this mindset or this, they're aware that players feel like this. And so I think that now the way that they draw players in, I think is going to change. I think the whole game is just changing up. I want to play another message from a guy who also spoke about the evil. Let me see if I can find this guy. Oh, okay, this guy right here because
Why do you want to be?
Is it me, or is this the most interesting thing LeBron has ever said in his career? Because in but so many words, he just said, look at how y'all treat me. Why would anyone sign up for that? If LeBron James, who is everything we have ever asked our athletes to be, completely scandal-free, family man, married to a black woman, and oh yeah, by the way, really good at basketball. A lot of your GOATs can't say the same for one or more of those categories. If he can't go slander free. So whenever we get into these face of the league discussions and why doesn't anyone want the throne, blah, 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 a lot of us need to look in the mirror. whether it be fans, analysts, whoever. Because the problem isn't we don't have great players. We have plenty. The problem is, why would anyone put themselves in position to be in the middle of this hot take negativity storm that we all live in? Is it me, or many words?
All right, so
drop your pants.
This guy, he was talking about like from the media, how the media treat the athlete, right? And I played that because it goes deeper than that. And I don't even think that LeBron James probably made it seem like he was referring to the media when he said that, right? But it goes deeper than how the media treats you, right? Because if you look at any business as far as entertainment and sports, you understand that you're going to be in the public spotlight, right? Some people say, they might say, well, I don't feel like signing autographs and stuff like that. But nobody says that, just because you got to sign autographs, they don't want to be an actor or an entertainer or a professional athlete. That's just something that, they just try to avoid. You try not to go out in public, or if you do go out in public, you don't want to, take pictures with people, or you may not want to sign autographs. That's just something that you avoid. So it goes deeper than LeBron James being able to, to stay out of trouble, be a good role model and stuff like if that's all it took for athletes to avoid some of the evil forces that comes with playing, a professional sport, then it would be cool. They would be like, all right, I can handle that. I can deal with that. But it's a lot deeper than that. And so that's the reason why I played that take, because this guy right here who I just played is basically just talking about the media part of it, or like the surface part of it. When LeBron James said it was weird energy, I thought that was a warning, right? That was a warning to other NBA players that, like, watch, be careful what you're getting into, and also Anthony Edwards, he said the same thing, right? Because they feel it. Number one, what's going on in the league, but because they've worked so hard to get to where they are, they're going to try to navigate their ways through these situations. They're going to try to avoid certain people or certain situations, and I don't think it's, in my opinion, I don't think it's possible. I think that once the powers that be have their sights set on you, and I'm gonna make another video about this, but I think once they have their sights set on you, you basically are at their mercy. Once you're in the league, they could pick anybody, because now it's not about being the face of the league. Like, they know that people are hip to that part. They'll be like, well, all right, it's just going to be the person that's the face of the league. When the media and this machine, this big media machine is so big that it can't just feed off of one person. So there are probably going to be several people around the league that, just get fed to the big media machine, and, just their life is really going to be flashed all over the place. Like, it's going to be under the microscope, so to speak, right? So it's not going to be, the league don't need a face of the league anymore, because the face of the league, in my opinion, is not enough to satisfy that appetite for content. And I told somebody this before, like, and when you think about Michael Jordan and how Michael Jordan used to be the face of the league, and that was enough because you only had like 3 major networks, right? You had ABC, NBC, and CBS, right? Then Fox came a little bit later on, but you only had 3 major networks, 3 outlets for, but now, you got, man, you got major networks all over the place. Then you have so many different social media platforms, and then so many people on these different platforms. So nowhere in the world Michael Jordan could have fed, that that type of appetite for for content, right? So he was the face of the league, but man, it just was, it wouldn't have been enough. So now when I think about, the league don't need a face of the league. They just gonna go after several players in the league, you know, get all, you know, it's just really going to be, they're going to really be under the microscope. So LeBron James issuing that warning and Anthony Edwards saying that he didn't want to be the face of the league, I don't think that really do, you know, it's not really going to do too much good. I just think that once you get in the league, you know, you basically at their mercy. And we've seen that with like lesser known professional basketball players who have issues off the court and then they get in trouble and then boom, it's a big media storm around them. Right. And so that's what I think the spotlight is going to be, you know, like they wait for you to get in trouble, or maybe you might, you know, some players might even get set up so they can be a part of this media storm. So you don't necessarily now have to be the face of the league in order to get, you know, be under the scrutiny. So that's my take on it. And, you know, let me know what y'all think about it. Make sure to like and subscribe. Also, don't forget to leave a message. And with that being said, I'm going to check y'all out in the next video. Peace.